The next time someone looks at you and says, "Wow, good for you," pay attention to how they say it, not what they say. How? Because that phrase, when it comes from someone who secretly can't stand you, doesn't mean what you think it means. And it's one of at least 10 phrases that people who secretly hate you use every single day. And most people never catch a single one. By phrase number 7, you'll never hear a compliment the same way again. I've been thinking about this for a while, not the body language stuff, not the crossed arms, and the avoided eye contact that every other video covers. I'm talking about something more specific, and honestly, more dangerous. Words. The actual sentences people choose when they secretly dislike you. We obsess over reading body language, but we completely ignore the most obvious weapon people have: language itself. The phrases people pick when they resent you follow very specific patterns, and once you learn them, you can never unhear them. And this is where it gets interesting. These aren't insults. These aren't confrontations. These are phrases that sound polite, even caring, even supportive, but they carry something hidden in the structure of the sentence itself. Here's what I mean by that. Wow, good for you. You share exciting news, a promotion, a new relationship, something you genuinely worked hard for. Instead of real excitement, you get this flat, 3-word response. Tight smile, maybe a nod. Then they change the subject or immediately bring up something about themselves. Here's what's actually happening. This phrase is a verbal exit door. It performs the minimum social requirement of acknowledging your news without ever actually engaging with it. People who are genuinely happy for you ask follow-up questions. They want details. They lean in. Good for you is a wall dressed up as a window. They say, good for you. They mean, this conversation about your success is now over. I'm just worried about you. You're making a big move, switching careers, moving cities, starting something new, and someone wraps their disapproval in this thick layer of fake concern. I don't want to see you get hurt. Are you sure you've really thought this through? I'm saying this because I care. Here's the difference no one talks about. Genuine concern asks, how can I support you? Weaponized concern asks, are you sure about that? The goal isn't to protect you. It's to plant doubt. They want you to hesitate, to second-guess yourself, to slow down, because your forward motion threatens them in a way they'll never admit. Real friends challenge you and cheer for you. People who secretly hate you only ever do the first part. They say, I'm just worried about you. They mean, I need you to stay exactly where you are. Relax. I was just kidding. They say something cutting about your appearance, your job, your intelligence in front of other people. When your face changes, when you flinch, they immediately deploy the shield. It's just a joke. And suddenly you're the problem. You're too sensitive. You can't take a joke. The room's attention shifts from what they said to how you reacted. This is one of the most common verbal weapons in everyday life, and the reason it works so well is the trap it creates. If you react, you're dramatic. If you don't, you've silently accepted being diminished. People who care about you don't repeatedly joke about things they know sting. Humor that consistently targets your insecurities isn't humor. It's hostility with a laugh track. They say, I was just kidding. They mean, I meant every word, but I need plausible deniability. Oh, my friend did something similar, but you mention an achievement, something you're proud of. Instead of sitting in your moment, they redirect to someone else's version that's always bigger, better, more impressive. My friend bought a house too, but theirs has a pool. My cousin started a business. She's already at 6 figures. They never outright insult you. They just make sure you never feel like what you did was enough. I didn't understand this for years. I used to think these people were just making conversation, but it's competitive minimizing, and it's precise. They can't let your accomplishment exist without context that shrinks it. Every one of your wins becomes a scoreboard update they need to correct. They say, my friend did something similar, but bigger. They mean, I refuse to let you have this moment. Interesting. You share an idea, a plan, something you're excited about. Instead of engaging, agreeing, disagreeing, asking a single question, they give you the verbal equivalent of a blank stare. Interesting. If you say so, I mean, okay, it's not disagreement and it's not agreement. It's deliberate emotional withdrawal designed to make you feel stupid without them having to explain why. And this is the part nobody talks about. Vagueness is a power move. By refusing to engage, they force you to fill the silence. You start over explaining, justifying, chasing approval they're never going to give. A person who respects you gives you a real response, even if it's disagreement. A person who secretly hates you gives you interesting and watches you scramble. They say interesting. They mean watching you seek my approval gives me control, and I'm not giving it up. Now, if you've recognized 3 or more of these so far, that's not a coincidence. That's a pattern, and I'm willing to bet you already know exactly who came to mind. Stay with me on this, because the next 5 go deeper. So, are you still doing that thing? Are you still together? Are you still working on that project? The word still is doing all the heavy lifting here. It carries a built-in assumption that whatever you're doing should have ended by now, and they're just checking whether reality has finally caught up to their expectation. This is surveillance disguised as casual interest. They're not asking because they care about the answer. They're monitoring you for signs of failure. When things eventually go wrong, because things go wrong for everyone, they'll be the first to say, I always had a feeling about that. They're collecting data, not showing interest. They say, are you still doing that? They mean, I've been waiting for you to fail at this. You're actually pretty smart. You actually look good today. That was actually a good idea. Notice the word that changes everything. Actually. It implies an exception, as if the default expectation was that you'd be dumb, wrong, or incompetent, and they're mildly surprised you cleared the low bar they'd quietly set for you. I didn't understand this for years. I used to take these as genuine compliments until I started listening to what the word actually reveals about someone's baseline assumption. A genuine compliment doesn't need a qualifier. You look great and you actually look great are 2 completely different sentences. The first one celebrates you. The second one tells you that looking great isn't what they expect from you. They say you're actually pretty smart. They mean, my default assumption is that you're not. Oh, I didn't think you'd be interested. I didn't want to bother you. You find out they went somewhere, did something, gathered with other people, without you. When you ask about it, you get the prepackaged excuse. We figured you were busy. I didn't think it was your thing. Said once, maybe it's genuine. But when this becomes a pattern, when you're consistently not bothered about every gathering, every dinner, every weekend plan, it stops being consideration and starts being choreographed exclusion. The genius of this phrase is that it flips the dynamic. Now you feel guilty for even asking. Now you feel needy for wanting to have been included. That inversion, making the excluded person feel like the problem, is passive hostility at its most precise. They say, I didn't want to bother you. They mean, I intentionally didn't include you, and I need you to not make this awkward. I'm just being honest. Someone had to say it. They deliver a harsh assessment of your choices, your work, your life, completely unprompted. And when you react, they frame themselves as the brave truth teller in a world of cowards. I'd rather be honest than fake. Here's the thing I want to be careful about. Honesty and cruelty are not the same thing. People who genuinely care about you deliver hard truths with empathy, timing, and privacy. People who secretly hate you deliver honesty, publicly, bluntly, and at the worst possible moment, then hide behind the word like it's a shield. I'm just being honest is almost never about honesty. It's about permission, giving themselves permission to hurt you without feeling any guilt about it. They say, I'm just being honest. They mean, I want to say something cruel, and I'm using honesty as my excuse. Yeah, we should definitely hang out sometime. They smile. They say the thing. We should totally catch up. Let's grab coffee soon. But they never initiate. They never follow up. They never text. And when you reach out, they're always so busy right now. The word sometime is doing all the work in this sentence. It means at no specific time, which functionally means never. A person who genuinely wants to see you names a day, suggests a place, sends a follow-up text. Sometime is a polite burial. It lets the relationship die slowly, quietly, without anyone having to say the uncomfortable truth out loud. They say, let's hang out sometime. They mean, this is a goodbye dressed up as a plan. Here's what connects all 10 of these. Every single phrase shares one design principle, deniability. Each one is built so that if you confront the person, they can say, that's not what I meant, or you're reading too much into it. And that's actually how you know it's real. Genuine dislike expressed in the open is easier to deal with. At least you know where you stand. It's the people who've learned to encode their hostility inside polite-sounding language who are the hardest to see clearly. Not because they'll harm you, but because they'll make you doubt doubt your own instincts. The skill this teaches isn't paranoia, it's calibration. Now you know what to listen for. Trust what you hear. Here's what I want you to do. Think about the last week. Think about the people you talked to. Did any of these phrases come up? Drop the phrase number in the comments. Just the number. I want to see which one is the most common. And if you've heard one that I didn't cover, tell me, because there's probably a part 2.